am Negan.
I am Negan.
What's up, people? We made it. This is it. The Walking Dead, Season 11, Episode 8, For Blood. That's right, gotta say like Pete Steele, typo, R.I.P. brother, For Blood. Oh man, this is it. We did it.
This is the finale. It's over.
It's all over. They pulled a. They pulled a. Whoa, what was that show? My favorite show. Oh my god, I'm blanking on it. But Penny Dreadful. Penny Dreadful. If you guys remember the Penny Dreadful when that ended, it just said Finny. Remember that? It was just like it was over. Did you ever watch Penny Dreadful?
Nah,
they introduced a bunch of characters going into the at the end of that current season. It was Dr. Jekyll and all this stuff going on, and then it just said the end, and people were like, what the hell? And then the cast posted thanks and peace. I'm like, what? It's over. We're not coming back. You know, it's like oh man, I'm blanking on all the characters' names. It's been so long. But the main character, the main woman that was there, Eva Green. Eva Green announced that she was leaving. She only agreed to 3 seasons, and she wanted to do other things, and so she wasn't coming back. And I'm like, all right, what are we going to do? Do we continue without her? And I was like, nah, we're not going to do that. We're just going to end it. And they didn't tell anybody. So you have all these characters, all these other loose ends and stuff. And it was like, yep, too bad. Shit's done. Got a werewolf, all this other stuff going on. Nope, sorry. It's over. Peace. But anyway, yes, that's not the case with Walking Dead. We got 24 episodes for this final season. This is episode 8. This is leading into their first season break, we'll say, because it's not really mid-season. This is their first season break, and they will be back January or February, or toward the end of January. So, yeah, real quick rundown. If you go over to the Koalition.com, there's going to be a bunch of content, a bunch of interviews. We got our entertainment editor, Dana Abercrombie. She's doing a bunch of interviews with the cast members, particularly with World Beyond. So we're going to have a bunch of, right? That's a thing going on, Rich? Right, she's doing a bunch of interviews. Some of them are already up there. So if you want some more content, if you want to hear what these people have to say, go up there, go check it out either on the Koalition.com or over on the Koalition's YouTube. If that's where you're finding us, you'll probably see it on one of the playlists, and go ahead and check those out. But yeah, thanks again, everybody, for following on Spotify and on iTunes, Koalition, YouTube, everywhere. Just thanks. It's great. You know, everybody likes The Walking Dead. We like The Walking Dead. It's that time of the year. It's Halloween season, right? It's October, and here we go. So let's just jump into it. Again, I'm Adam. There was a lot going on in the beginning. So I'm Adam Vale. Yeah, Adam Vale, over an editor over. Rewind. An editor over at the Koalition.com, joined by Carlos Romero from Throwdown and Richard Bailey Jr., editor-in-chief of the Coalition.
There you go. Yo.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody?
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot, people. There's a lot. There is a lot. All right. So, let's just say that out of the episodes that we saw going forward, this particularly compared to the World Beyond, this is season 2, episode 1. This just knocked it out the park. This is how you bring a strong episode, whether it's the first of a season or a mid-season break. Walking Dead's always been pretty good with these mid-season breaks. You know, they don't really drag it out. They don't like, oh, another dun-dun-dun, what happens? They do a little bit, but they at least answer some questions. They progress the story, so that way we're like, okay, this is going somewhere. We're not just filling time and then just drag it out and say, oh, yeah, you want to know all the details? You want to know what's going to happen with these people? Tune in a few months. Peace. No, they don't do that. They don't do that. So I think right after this, when we saw this, Rich, you sent me a message like, this was great. Carlos, I think you like this, right? This was cool. It was a good episode.
I wouldn't say I liked
Holy
it.
Shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. Rewind. We're going to edit that out. All right, let's rewind that. All right, so Carlos, you liked that episode, right?
I wasn't, I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it. Yeah, I was really stuck in between. Thought it was well executed. I didn't like some of the story aspects, but yeah, I guess we'll get to the details later on in the show. But I'm more, I'm more room temperature on this episode. I'll say that.
All right. I mean, we'll just, like we usually do, we have 2 parts, and we'll just cover each story arc from their beginning to end. So we'll leave the stronger one, the Daryl and the Leah and all that. That'll be the second part. The first part will deal with what's going on in Alexandria. There's a storm. There's a storm. We got walkers showing up all around. It's like a haunted house situation. They're all freaking out inside. The kids are there. Aaron decides he needs to go out and fix the wall. If you guys remember, one of the sides was falling apart. They're like, all right, we got to go take care of that. Carol's like, oh yeah, we have to go do another part that they have to work on. And Rosita and what's his new the dude that was with Michonne and that was with Connie. I'm blanking on his name. Virgil. There we go. And Virgil says, all right, he's gonna stay. All right, so those two are gonna stay with the kids. You got all the kids there, and of course, Judith, being ballsy the way she is, was like, I want to go out there. I want to go in. And like, no, don't worry. We need you to take care of the kids. You know, give them that heart that you have. And it was like, show no fear, right? She's Cobra Kai for life, this one. She don't care. She's good. Right? Yeah, no mercy. That's it. She's ready to inflict some pain on anything that comes her way. So there they are. They're in this house. And there was a bunch of little things that happen here. But the most notable, and it really matters, is we see some one-on-one with Virgil and Judith. And that's something that we definitely needed, which is why I think it's also hinting that Michonne is coming back. We're definitely going to see it. And I know some people are like, well, maybe we won't. Maybe we're just going to get these weird flashbacks or something. Or she's going to find a note, and do something cheesy like that. No, I think she's going to come back. And this is another hint. When they have a conversation about missing mom during all this craziness going on. He's like, you're always with her. She's in your heart. She's always thinking about you. That whole thing. Because he did spend time with her. Out of everyone there, he's the only one that really spent any amount of time recently. So the fact that he's playing a big part, and I was thinking about it from the last time, I was like, oh, he should have died in the haunted house, and why didn't he? Well, this is it. This is why he didn't, because he was able to deliver this message, and I think that's something Judith needed to hear, because she hasn't seen her mom in a while, and that can get to you, and especially when you got the bully kid, which I was hoping they would send him out and let him get eaten by a walker or something. That didn't happen, but yeah, they had that little one-on-one right there. And it seemed to have comforted her, but it made sense. It didn't seem out of place. I was like, yeah, this is the time that you say something like that. You got walkers outside. It's a storm. The girl's freaking out. Any kid would be like, well, I want my mom and my dad. And it's like, oh, by the way, let me tell you something about your mom, okay? And then you go into details. So what did you think of that one-on-one that they had? Carlos?
Well, just to reflect on the scene, it was just kind of interesting that Virgil just kind of got accepted into the group. Remember back in the day, whenever a new person would show up, it's like.
But the rite of passage was saving Connie. That's why. If he would have just wandered in off the street, off the road, hey, help me. No, answer the 3 questions, go into the basement. We're going to give you a bunch of tests. No. That because he saved Connie, I think that gives him the pass.
I just imagine Virgil goes into the house in Alexandria, and he's going in, and he's like, "Hey, little one," is like, "Hey, my name is Judith." He's like, "Oh, it's like, oh, you're Michonne's kid," and she's like, "Yeah, that wasn't what I was expecting to see."
Oh, but
yeah, it's I just find it interesting, just like the whole pairing of the group. And Alexandria, I don't know. It just seems like the community gets smaller and smaller each episode.
Well, I know exactly what you're saying, because I was thinking about that too. I was like, at least show a full house. They don't show a full house. We just see the cast members. Where's all the extras? We know that Alexandria has a large community. It's a combination of people from all over the place. From the hilltop and from the kingdom, and hell, even some people from the Saviors from Sanctuary, our home base. But no, we don't see that. We don't see any of them. So in our minds, we have to use our imagination that they are hunkering down, but they're in one of the other houses in their compound there. But yeah, keep going.
Yeah, that's one of the downsides. It just like feels like it's down to like a few people. There's no scope of what what this civilization is. But yeah, sorry, what was your question? Your initial question?
Just what did you think of that conversation? Like, did it do anything for you? Did you think it made sense, or felt out of place? Like, oh, you're just trying to squeeze this in here just to fill up time, like at least for the conversation of that part with the one-on-one, because of all the craziness going on outside and the storm and walkers, and then here it is. Judith has this one-on-one with him, and he's like, oh, by the way, let me tell you about your mom. She really loves you, and she's in your heart, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I mean, they have to keep dropping the Michonne kind of droplets, because, like you said, she's inevitable. She's coming back. She's gonna kick ass. Something's gonna happen. People are gonna cry.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought, and we'll get to it. I thought she was here. I thought we were gonna get that moment because it was gonna go full circle. From
Really?
Yeah, only because of what we saw, the way Maggie came back with snake eyes and up. Remember how he came through that whole fight, and then it was like all of a sudden it was like, oh, she looks so hood, and here she is. But we'll get to it. We'll get to where that part when that happened. But keep going.
But yeah, they it's like they're trying to, like I mentioned, throwing droplets of Michonne. It's like, hey, she's still around. She's her presence. She's within you. But it's like, but really, she's gonna be here later because
this is
we're gonna have to.
season.
We're gonna.
That would have been great if he said, like, things are coming to an end. Just like, and
This is the end game.
This is the end game. He looks at the camera and he's like, "Are you ready?" What? Oh, he broke the fourth wall.
He's like, you want to play a game?
You want to play a game? But
yeah, I wonder if he told him about how he was mentally insane and.
Oh yeah. But that's the other thing. That's I'm sure all that part. If they ever do get a hold of Michonne, it's like, so tell us how you met this guy. Oh, he captured me. He locked me up. He was torturing me and some other side. What? Yeah, but don't worry. We straightened it out. I figured he was cool, and I sent him to the Alexandria. Doesn't that make sense? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. You would. Why would you put us all at risk with this maniac? But yeah, that was notable. And another one was with Rosita. While we're there, and this, I thought she was gonna die. I was like, oh, this is it. This is when you die. Once you see the walkers outside, they're banging, they're trying to grab in. It's one of those moments, and she says, all right, I gotta go. I was like, what are you gonna do? I gotta fight. I gotta clear this area. This is it. Say goodbye. Everybody give her hugs. She had a great run on the show. That's what went through my mind. Rich, you were thinking the same thing?
Yeah, I thought that was a little unrealistic because I did think the character was going to die when she stepped out there. Obviously it's a horde of zombies and it's it is raining, so I don't think your visibility is going to be that great. That's why it would have been believable if she did get bit, if she did perish in that way. But she did survive, so I guess they have more plans for her outside of this. But I did think she was going to die when she stepped out there. She was going to sacrifice herself, and I was like, but I have to ask you both the question. Where was Aaron at? Because he had a discussion at the beginning of this episode, but where were they at? Were they out in the storm, or did they go somewhere else?
He went to the other part of Alexandria to fix the wall. Because if you remember a few episodes back, there was that whole... No, he didn't do that?
There was two groups. One was to fix the wall.
Yeah. And
one was to, I think, a fire. There was a fire somewhere.
Something was going on, but we didn't really see it. Yeah, something was going on. Carol went with another group, and then Aaron went to do something. He definitely went somewhere. That's the whole thing. He went to go do something that was nowhere near this house, but it was still in Alexandria. Again, we have no map. We don't know how large this whole community is.
They could have just done a top down view of Alexandria.
I wish.
That's one of the things that I've had issues with.
CG baby,
with
CG.
the last couple of
Come
seasons.
on, we could do this.
You could have. Yep, you could have done CG to make the point, but just getting a scope of it's crazy because like I don't think they do a good job at showing the scope of the area.
No, they don't.
Of the city, of the town, or anything. Like I just it could just be that house for all we know.
Yeah, no, it's always been my issue. That's always been my issue because that was not the case in the comic. The comic would show top-down views, and you would see like 20, 30 houses and a huge fencing all around, and in the back they had a garden. And stuff. Yeah, they would do a little bit of it. Yeah, you see these little track shots, high track shots, and then they just said, F it. We're not gonna do it. Don't worry about it. Just use your imagination. There's a bunch of houses here. Can we do that?
I mean, they could have done that and just shown like, a couple of houses lit up, with candles or something, and then we'll know it's like, oh, look, that's where all the people are just, sticking together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So and that was it. So she was out there, and there was no help. That's why I was just saying, oh, this is it. This is where she dies. And then we see her just doing her badass killing spree right here. She was just destroying all of them. And
two things.
Yep.
Two things I forgot. The first one, where is the dude? I forgot his name. The dude with the tall, the big tall dude. He was in the kingdom. He was like the second hand to Ezekiel.
Yes. Oh man, I keep forgetting his name too. Yes, he's married with a kid.
We saw his wife.
Yeah,
You saw the kids too.
Yes.
You saw the
Yeah,
kids.
we saw the
too.
kids.
I'm blanking on his name, but yes, but I'm pretty sure he went with Carol or Aaron on one of those trips to go.
I don't remember seeing him, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't in the house because that was the whole thing. There was just Virgil and Rosita because it was just Rosita, and then Virgil wanted to go, and they were like, "No, you can help out. You know, she's gonna need help," and the whole thing. I'm like, all right, and it made more sense because then when she went running out there, I'm like, "Oh yeah," because then she dies out there, and you're gonna be here alone with all these kids and the bully kids who we don't see, but I'm sure they're there. You know, but it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen, and this is the moment where I thought Michonne was gonna show up. Because when that door bangs open, right, you start hearing the banging, and they open up the door, and you see this figure. I'm like, oh, this is it. Michonne's gonna be like, I tried to get here as fast as I could, and the whole thing, but no, it's Rosita. She did it. She's all wet and stuff, but she killed them all. She made.
Yeah, they can't kill the last living Latina in the whole universe, man.
That's it. You gotta hold it down for the race. Gotta hold it down.
But you guys are bringing up something that's making me think that could possibly happen. You're expecting maybe Michonne to show up at the end. Open the door and it's like, I took care of all of them.
Right. Exactly.
Well, at the end of this part of the episode, there's two kids that were in a somewhere. Looks like
they were in the basement. Yeah, and that's the next key part of this is where Judith was supposed to watch Gracie. She told Aaron, "Don't worry, I got her," because Gracie was scared, didn't want Aaron to go out there. And then she can't find her. She's like, "Oh, where'd she go?" She went to like the basement area, and she wanted to grab a weapon, and there was like some walkers trying to come in. I'm like, there was a bunch of other and that happened a little bit before when I think around the time when Rosita went out there to go do their thing because there was all the walkers surrounding. But yeah, she was asking for it too. That was another moment. I'm like, oh, here we go. We're gonna lose a kid. But I think we haven't lost a child since Look at the Flowers. With Carol. At least not one that we've seen on camera like that, and that was pretty brutal.
I'm sure we've lost.
Oh, they've lost. We've lost a bunch, but never that they really focused on. Like we saw, of course, the very first episode, right? The girl that was out on the road with Rick, and he said he was sorry and the whole thing, and then of course Carol's daughter in the barn. And there's been a few other moments too. But those are the most notable ones. And so, yeah, at this point, I was thinking, oh, man, there's no way Gracie would go out there, especially with all the craziness going on. But no, she was okay. Judith found her, held it down. And then that was it. That's out of all the notable parts. Nothing else happened. I was expecting something else after that, after the big battle. But Rosita held it down. She cleared the area, and I guess that was it. There wasn't many of the walkers that came through, which I'm assuming came through from that hole, which is the same hole that they were working on before when Aaron had that nightmare a few episodes back.
Yeah.
So there goes that. But yeah, overall, that was fine. It was fine. I liked it. I liked the fact with the Rosita, the swerve, because I'm sure a lot of people watching it was like, oh, she's going to go. This is it. But she did it. So there we go. So now to the main part of this episode, and I'm glad that they did this, because that was my fear going into this last one, was that maybe they would just focus more of what was going on at the Commonwealth, which is fine, but that's not really action based. That's more dialogue heavy. And when you go into a mid-season, you want to see some action. You want to see some conflict, and that's really taking place in this situation here, and we got to see it. Because that would have been a really big, long, with a few months wait of just, well, what happened with that big horde that Maggie put together? Well, now we see. So they show up, and we were right. The call on the radio to Leah and Daryl to return back to the base, the camp, it was because of this. They saw the horde. So the horde is out there, and they're doing the circles. They're doing whisper style. And they see that, and Daryl sees it. And I think he knows at this point what's going on here. Because they were like, have you ever seen this? They're like, yeah, I think so. Yeah, they just act like that. And I'm like, all right, he's still going with it. But I wonder in his mind if he was thinking, maybe we didn't really kill all the Whisperers. Is that a possibility? Like, are these some of them? Is Beta not dead? Because that could have been a thing. That he doesn't know. Anything's possible. Because he doesn't know that Negan trained Maggie and all of them to do the Whisperer walk. So they're doing that whole thing. And then Pope sends one of his guys out there to go and lure them away. Because Daryl says, hey, let me go. And we know why he wants to go. Because if they are his crew, then he can communicate with them. And I'm like, no, I got a guy for this. And then he sends one of a jabroni number 1. And he goes out there like, all right, I got it. Let's go. So he's out there and he's trying to lure them. And he's doing all things. Yeah, everything is cool. And then they flank him. And he wasn't expecting that. And he's never seen that. And then, of course, we got our peoples in there. And then they hit him. And then the walkers do their thing. And you hear them screaming on the radio. So what did you think of that setup? Because that was... I don't know. I'm a little indifferent with that whole scene there because it was too close. Because if you can see, he was still close to the area. I figured they would kill him a little further away to try to not make it so obvious. But they didn't. It looked like he was right outside the gate because you could see the wall. The gate's right to his right side. Rich, what did you think? Yeah.
You're talking about the guy that they killed at the very beginning of the episode.
The first one. Yep.
Yeah, well, maybe this is just me, but I looked at this guy and I said, "Oh, they have a Blade wannabe that they wanted to put in this scene to get killed." So, but yeah, it was meant to show this is the plan that they had. We knew that from the last episode, Negan was teaching them new survival techniques, which pretty much is to disguise themselves as the walkers. Mm-hmm. And we saw that work. It worked the way it did perfectly as far as taking that guy out. So but I do agree that it looked as though he was a lot closer to the area when they was at, and then of course later on we saw that they also had traps in that area.
And that's why I bring it up. Because I know there would be no reason to bring it. Like, why do you care? What does it matter the distance? He went out there and he got killed. That's it. No, this is why. Because once they lose communication, they're like, all right, don't worry, we got traps. Right? And then you see all the explosions and they got boom, 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 all this stuff going on, right? And you're seeing zombies drop all over the place. And then now Daryl's getting nervous. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, how close were you? Because these traps look like they're like at a distance. They're further out. They're not too close to the compound, but yet this made it seem like this was right outside the gate. So did they get that close? And as we get further, in fact, the scene after that, when Daryl says he's going to walk the perimeter just to check up on things, and we see that he goes and he says the guy that he's been doing smokes with says, "Hey, you want to smoke?" And he takes him out. And then when he looks over the side of the wall, ta-da! He sees Maggie and Negan in them. So they're close. So how did they get that close without the bombs? I don't know. What did you think of that? Did that make sense to you, or is it just me? Or
the only thing that I didn't understand is the bomb part. I would assume that they'd be mines or something, in that part of the fence too. But apparently there wasn't. As far as them not catching them, that makes sense because. The herd was going one direction, and they clearly took a separate direction.
Oh, yeah. They definitely took a separate direction. Because we saw at the time when it was blowing up, and he was looking at Daryl, looking through his binoculars, and then he saw some that were just like slowly going off to the side. And that's when he decided to go out and say, all right, I'm going to go look around, so that he can try to communicate with them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think they just went a separate way. Most of the attention was set towards one, or maybe most of the minds were set on the entrance. If let's say someone gets a car and tries to ram through to the main entrance, maybe that's the weakest point of the place.
I guess, but also there was no triggers. That was the other thing, because I was like, well, maybe somebody's triggering this, because I don't. but then that's not the case. They were just, I guess, walking over them, and then they would just blow. So it wasn't like somebody was on the inside just like pressing buttons when he saw a group of them, and causing the explosions.
Yeah, no, those are, I think, pressure sensitive stuff.
So you just have to hope. So then, if anything, if that's the case, Negan and Maggie and Snake Eyes and them, they were lucky. They were definitely lucky that they didn't get sent up and smoked right there. So then we got Daryl after he kills this dude up on the wall there, and then he notifies the guys there. He's like, hey, go around to the back. It's weaker in that area. You go to the whole thing. So that way he's trying to help them out. And they're like, okay, we're going to go. And then as he does his walks, he goes back and he talks to Pope and them. And Pope doesn't believe, first of all, that this is just walkers. He thinks this is all Maggie's doing. He is hell-bent on Maggie. And this is the part that sort of got me a little upset. I would have really liked to see the history between them. Because he seems like he knows a lot about Maggie. You know what I mean? It's like, and when we hear Maggie discuss the situation, she doesn't know anything about them. Remember, she went out to do some hunting or whatever. When she came back, the whole area was destroyed. And these people were there. And then that's when they left. And they tried to regroup and they went to Alexandria. Right? That was her story. I don't recall her ever saying that she dealt with Pope and is fighting or something. But he knows a lot about her. And he is very upset and confused and stressed. And he blames everything on her. He blames the guy that died. They were like, oh, the walkers. No, it's her. All right, all these walkers just coming here. It's her. It's like, I can understand if he encountered the Whisperers and he would know that. How does he think that she has the know-how and the power to control zombies now and to control walkers? Like, we know because we watch the show, so we know this. But if you don't, if you put yourself in his position, how would you know? Would that be your guess? That this former leader now controls all these walkers? And, I mean, there's a lot of them. We saw that when they did do that top shot from the last episode. There's a good few hundred. I don't know, but he seems... And I think that's what triggers Leah, because she starts thinking, this dude is crazy. Because I don't even think she's buying that at this point. And that... Yep, go ahead.
Oh, no, I just want to make a comment. I agree with your the frustration of not getting to see more of the backstory with Pope, because I know in the past Walking Dead shows, even though they would kill off a character, you would still see a backstory to some extent. Like the governor, for example.
Oh, the governor has amazing ones.
Yeah, you got a
epilogue.
chance to, you got a chance to see how that character became who he is. So it is unfortunate you will not get to see that, at least from what we understand so far. But yeah, I would have definitely liked to have seen that as well, because you see this only from Maggie's perspective. The fact that Pope killed all those people that was on her team, you don't ever see it from his perspective as to why he looks at Maggie as a threat in the first place. Mm-hmm. So I agree that probably was needed, but we'll see if that is something that they do in the remaining episodes.
Yeah. I think since you guys are already talking about it, that I think that's one of the most disappointing parts of this season so far. It's just how they handled Pope. I mean, he was a compelling, kind of villain type character, and obviously he's gonna have to die. That we already know that, but it just feels like he didn't get to spread his wings.
He didn't get to flourish. We didn't get to really see him become the ultimate villain that we wanted.
He never took out anyone that we liked, and during when we actually saw him. We didn't get.
What's this dude? The one that we were talking about before that got tortured. That was the only one that we know of.
Well, we didn't even get to see that.
Frost. Yeah, that's it. We
didn't get to see that, and also he whispered something. He was whispering something to one of the homeboys that hates Daryl.
Doesn't even matter.
I guess it doesn't matter now.
Doesn't even matter.
It
doesn't even matter.
They build this dude up, and he talks. He was, the actor was doing a really good job. I'm like, oh, it's pretty compelling. I can't wait for him to clash. And you guys were talking about with Maggie, and I'm like, yeah, this is going to be, who's going to win between both of the leaders, essentially. And we didn't get that. It was super anticlimactic. I feel like this character could have been better fleshed out. With story and everything.
Since you brought up this discussion, and I'm glad you brought this point, to the forefront. I want to ask you both a question. It's also a question for the people listening to the show. Is who do you believe is going to be the big bad villain for the rest of this season? Because I thought the Reapers was going to be the people they were going to have to worry about for a majority of the season, but it feels like yes, you do have to obviously worry about one person that Darrow. At least Darrow has to worry about somebody. But do you think that she is pretty much the big bad villain, or is there
Nope.
someone else?
Governor Milton.
Okay.
Governor Milton is the big bad villain. Back
Okay.
at the Commonwealth. That's one, because remember that one. She has an army. She has an army. These this is just a ragtag group right here. They don't really, they're not really organized. They don't have that many people. And what are they going to do? So to me, I still think it's the Commonwealth. And the question that I have though, and it's how they merge all of this together. And we know that they said that we're going to see a bigger play with the CRM. The CRM is a whole other group right there. So if that comes to play, and whoever they introduce, I don't know if they're going to bring Elizabeth over from World Beyond, because remember there's no need for that. But and then just to tie that in, because remember Elizabeth, and that's one of the key things that came up in that last episode of the first season 2, episode 1 of World Beyond. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. We cover that one also. She did mention that there were other factions of the CRM, and that she was in that area, and then they made her the leader. She was part of England, some group or whatever, and she's in control of that area. But there's multiple versions, so maybe we'll just see another group, another version of the CRM somewhere else, and that's the one that has Rick. And then they'll show up, and that could be another big bad for the season besides the Governor Milton. But I don't think it's going to be Leah, and we'll just get to that right now, because at this point, right, Pope starts talking about they're bringing out the big guns. They got this big cannon thing, and they're going to open up the back door over there and just spray everybody, right? They're going to hose them down, and he gets his other buddy, sends everybody over there. He's like, what, are you sure? And then Leah's even against that. She's like, well, I don't know what's going on. You're going to send everybody? Yeah, everybody go. And now her main issue is putting the people at risk. Her friends, her family. And he wanders off, and then I think this is when the part that Daryl then tells her, he's like, I got something to tell you. I was like, these are my people. I got to do it with this boy. These are my people. He's like, what? He's like, yeah, all they want is food. He goes through the whole thing. That's what he said. We're just good people. We got with children and all that stuff. He just gives her the whole rundown, and she's just giving him this stink eye look like, you son of a bitch. I was waiting for her to take out a knife and just like stab him or something. Now, of course, he's not going to die, but I thought she was going to attack him. We're going to see a brawl or something. But basically giving a rundown, I was like, yeah, they're good people. They just needed food. That's all we're here. We just need some food and let us go. It's like, that's not going to happen now, Daryl. I mean, do you see what's going on? It's pretty much a war. This is not happening, and then Pope comes over, and then I think they had some words. I don't recall the words. I didn't even write it down, but there was some words exchanged with Leah and him. And then Leah just out of nowhere just stabs him. She just kills the dude. And I was not expecting that. I really was not expecting that. I was expecting, out of all people, Snake Eyes. Our boy Elijah. Because remember, he told Maggie that's what he wanted. He wanted to take him out. He blamed him for everything. Again, it would be great if there was a backstory, so we would have seen how vicious he was. And maybe we will see that through the form of like flashbacks, through Elijah's eyes. Maybe he'll have a nightmare and recall. But that's pointless. Like you mentioned, there's no point because Pope is dead. He is dead. Like he didn't even, I was thinking maybe he'd turn into a walker and just get up. No, but he's dead. And she kills him. And he was like, you can come with me, and he sees there's some good, and he's like, you can come with me, and we can just get out of here, and blah blah blah. And she's like, no. She's like, you got your reasons, you got your people, I got my people. I'm gonna look out for them, right? And then she calls him over, and he was like, you gotta go. She gives him time to leave. So that's the conflicting part right there. It's like, so what is this like a? Is this like one of those games where it's like, all right, we're going to hunt you down. We'll give you 10 seconds. Like, well, what is the point of this, of letting him go? Because she does say once he runs off, right, And the group comes like, yeah, she said, Dixon killed Pope. And what? You got to go get him, right? So then are you going to tell them a different direction? Which way did he go? Did he go to the right? The left. Let's go to the left. We don't see that. So I don't really understand. Maybe it was been too painful for her to kill him because she does have feelings. But maybe she does connect also because what happened with the mother that she had to put down and the father and told him, go take your son. So maybe that popped up in her head. I was like, oh, wow, well, maybe they have kids. But who knows? Maybe Daryl was full of it. I mean, he lied all the way to this point because I'm sure on her head, she's like, damn, she vouched for him.
Well, since I'll go ahead, Rich.
Oh, no, I just will make a prediction here. I think this definitely is something that Carlos had an issue with. But I don't know. This is just my prediction. Now, Carlos, you can let myself and the listeners know if I'm incorrect.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Wait.
Your issue. You said you had an issue before with this. This was
because you mentioned that you had some issues with this episode, and I'm saying that my prediction is this is one of the things definitely had an issue with.
So, so the first issue was the whole scope thing with the Alexandria stuff. We went over that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
My second issue, and it might be the biggest one, but it's not the second biggest one, is the fact that Pope died. And he just, anticlimactically, he's gone. He looked pretty badass. He spoke, he was kind of menacing, and the actor was doing a great job, and he's just gone. Another thing, and I don't think you're gonna get it right, Rich, because this has to do with the end of the episode. I just didn't like that. I just didn't like. There's too many goddamn cliffhangers, man. I'm like, it's fine if you give us one. But you're giving us a cliffhanger with the kids. You're giving us a cliffhanger with the what's it called, Commonwealth. You're giving us a cliffhanger with the whole Maggie and Negan stuff when they're about to get shot at, like it's Ghost of Tsushima.
There you go. Now the thing with the kids, though, I don't think that's we can scratch that off as a cliffhanger because Rosita, she handled it. She killed them.
No. Because at the end of the episode, Judith and the other girl was trapped in that basement and it's flooding.
Yeah.
And so
walkers are coming down.
Yeah, so it makes you wonder how they're going to get out of this situation.
There's no. Well, you know what? I that's when I was talking about kids dying. It's like, I mean, that would be huge if they kill Judith off this way. It's like, oh, how did she die? Exactly. There's no way. There's no way they're gonna die from.
It's not even just the kid thing. She still has to see what's Michonne.
Yeah, of course.
That's gonna happen. I don't care what anyone says. That's gonna happen.
She'll just sacrifice
Michonne
Gracie.
and Judith are gonna see each other. They're gonna hug and they're gonna cry, and we're all gonna cry.
Right, take this one and kick her down. You're not the strong one. I'm the chosen one. And she becomes evil. And it's like, oh.
But yeah, Rich, the issue I had was, the fact this. I don't even mind cliffhangers. It's just this cliffhanger. I'm like, I thought we were done with this.
I'm really simple. Keep going. Go, Rich.
I'm like, Pope is dead. Let's move on. Why do you need cliffhanging this?
My issue is that I think Daryl is a little too trusting when you leave Leah behind and then you don't communicate to the group.
Yeah, he didn't even try to kill her. He didn't even try that either. But I didn't think he would. It never.
But the issue is he did not communicate to the others. Hey, she's gonna let us go. We need to go. They were still fighting the other group. So it's like obviously she wants to protect her group. So she's going to say, hey, I'm going to take control of this situation, and the weapon is right there for her to fire at them. Yeah. So
but remember, she called them back. She told them to all come back because as they were fighting out there, then they heard on the walkie to return back, and they all started going back, and then that's when he was like, "Is it over? Is that it? They're just going back in?"
No. She told him to go back so she can shoot those arrows at the people
at
the walkie.
They didn't know that though, but I'm pretty sure if I remember right, Negan, they didn't know that. They just saw them running, retreating. They didn't know.
Rich, you played Ghost of Tsushima, right?
Yeah, I did.
That's on Nintendo.
You remember those?
Is that on Nintendo?
Exploding? It's on the Atari 2600.
Nice.
It's the exact same arrows.
Yep, it is the same arrows.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so you bring that up. That's it. So Daryl runs in. You're right. He runs in another direction, not toward the rest of the crew, because clearly they're fighting the rest of the Reapers. And Leah calls them all back in. Some of them show up. She says, "Look, you see, Pope is dead." Like, yeah, Dixon did it. He did it, and I'm sure some of them could have been like, "Ah, we told you so. You're done." Blah blah. But her whole thing is that she's the leader now. That's it. She wants to be the leader. I'm sure there's going to be some fighting over that, which is because I'm pretty sure Carver is still alive, right? He didn't die. I didn't see him die. That was the one that was butting heads with Daryl. Remember? And he was saying the whole thing with the one that you talked about that was walking off with Pope. And then who knows? Maybe that'll come up later. That conversation, he could say that Pope didn't trust them, and if anything ever happens to him, he's second in command. He could easily just say it. Who's going to dispute it? Pope is dead. And then maybe we'll see a little fight off there. But her whole thing was she was looking out for her people. She understood what he was doing, but her people is this group. And so that's why she didn't trust Pope. Pope didn't care. Remember, he was talking crazy. That was the other thing. He was talking crazy about, oh, it's all what he does, and he's, it's his word is what matters.
God's will.
Yeah, God's will. He was talking ridiculous, crazy. Like even before that, with the rituals and stuff, we're never gonna find out really what was going on there. Was he doing dark rituals? What was going on? Was he trying to bring back the dead? I don't understand that. Remember when he did that whole ceremony thing? Who knows? All right, so there goes that, and then right at the end, that's when we start seeing all these flaming arrows and everything just flying out there at the group, Maggie and friends, and then poof, it's off. So that is a cliffhanger. But if we want to speculate, I don't think Maggie gets hit. I don't think Negan gets hit. Maybe Snake Eyes gets hit. Who else was with them?
Snake Eyes wasn't there.
He was there. He was with them. Remember, because she was holding his hand. That's Elijah.
That's not Snake Eyes. That's not Snake Eyes. That's another dude.
No, that's Snake Eyes without the mask.
What happened to his mask?
He lost it. Remember?
I thought he was short too.
No, he was tall.
This dude is tall.
That was him. That was because she had two people. One of them, Eldon, or he's the one that's hurt, that still trapped himself in some house area, remember? And they left him behind.
Boy, dude.
Yeah, and the other, then there was the big dude Duncan that we saw later on, but he died. And the girl, and then she died. And then there's just Elijah, which is, we called Snake Eyes because he had the mask and he wasn't talking, but then now he's been getting a little mouthy in the last episode, so maybe we can avoid that out. But
I could have swore that he did get hurt. He did get hurt while they was trying to, before this thing happened with the arrows. Mm-hmm. So he's already a little wounded now. So if there has to be some casualties, I could see him going. Like you said, Negan and Maggie. Obviously, nothing is going to happen to them because their story is not over yet. Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the question, though. Do you think they get captured? Do you think that if that's the case, something happens, or maybe they get wounded? I could see some of them getting wounded, and at that point, do we see some of the Reapers come out and capture? Because clearly the story with Leah and the Reapers is not over. She's now going to either be control or fight with Carver for control, but I think that either way she's going to win because everybody likes her. She stands up for them. Remember that whole thing with the last episode? So keep going.
So here's the thing. I hope they don't go that route because we've already seen the story of Daryl getting captured, and then they decide, okay, he has proven himself that he can work with us, so now he's a part of the team. I don't want them to use the same thing with these others where, once again, because we saw how it was like to be captured by the group.
And Father Gabriel, that's right. Father Gabriel's still with them.
Yeah, Father Gabriel was a sniper shooter in this.
With the one eye. This dude is turning Mr. Badass over here. He's
yeah. So, I mean, that could happen. They can get captured, but I kind of feel like, and one thing that I definitely hope that they do not go now when they come back, because the next episode is not until what, January or February,
January, February
of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
When they come back, I don't want to see Daryl going back and forth over the struggle. Oh, I don't know whether I should kill Leah or not. He needs to kill her. If you get an opportunity to take her out, then you got to take her out. Don't struggle with it now. because it's clear that she's going to do whatever she wants to do because she's in charge now.
Yeah.
So
All right,
we'll see if that happens.
All right, so since we're talking about that, because we already covered this episode, so you think he's going to stay around to help the group, or do you think he's going to head back to Alexandria to get reinforcements?
You talking about Daryl?
Daryl, yeah, because I'm in my mind, I'm thinking that Maggie and Negan are going to get captured. That's the only way you can progress this story. I don't see, because they remember Maggie says she's not going back empty-handed, or else she would have left with Negan. So she needs the food, right? And they're still fighting to try to get the food. So I'm assuming they're going to get captured. These arrows, all this stuff. This is just too much firepower for that group. There's just not enough of them.
One thing I will say is they better be wounded by this. It can't be a situation where we shot them and we missed, because those would be another. A lot of. Well, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Rich. I just got triggered again by Ghost of Tsushima. This is another Jin situation.
That's it. Old school G.I. Joe. Just run toward the bullets. You're okay.
Yeah, it will be very unrealistic for all those shots to go off and nobody gets hurt and nobody gets wounded. So something has to happen as far as that's concerned. But yeah, you bring a good point, Adam. I guess Maggie and Negan will probably get captured, and then we're going to have a situation where, well, how is Daryl? Because Daryl's still, the group could get split up again, because this show likes to split up groups and has people going in different directions. So that could happen. So Daryl could get free and then have to go and get reinforcements. Yeah, that could certainly happen. We'll see.
What do you think, Carlos?
This is a tough one. It's hard, it's just hard for them to get captured, because it's like, here we go again, Homeboy got captured, you got tortured to death, Daryl got captured.
I agree. I fully agree. But the thing is, how do you progress this story? Because if they leave, if Maggie ends up, let's say, all right, that doesn't happen.
Well, they're not, no, that's not even a question. They're not leaving until they get the food.
Exactly. There you
go. So we know that they're in there for the long haul. I don't know. I just think that, and then this is going back to sort of what we've been talking about before. It's like Negan is going to have to, get into the good graces of Maggie so she won't kill him. Maybe Negan, I don't think he's going to sacrifice himself, but I think he's going to, do something, and it's like, save Maggie, quote unquote. And then it's like, she's going to be more conflicted and
at first, what I was thinking before this episode, one of the ideas that came across my head, only because we saw what happened where Negan was reflecting on how he lost Sanctuary and with the Saviors and how he regrets all that. And I was like, what if he's the one that takes out Pope and the Reapers follow him? And he builds this army up. Like, he becomes a new leader. And Leah just bounces and it's like, I'm just going to go with Daryl. And then they have their happy ending and do something else. But then Negan gets a new crew. What if that was something that happened? But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know what's going to go, because Leah's still alive. And that, no, and she's going to be in charge. And this is, I don't know. Yeah, it's tricky with all this, because I have an idea how everything in Commonwealth is going to play out. But with this crew, and how do they connect? Because first, Daryl doesn't know where the Commonwealth is. So we can't just say, oh, he's going to go over there. He doesn't know. Leah knows nothing about that place either. So that's not happening. So it's going to still be a situation where it's Leah's group, the Reapers, and Alexandria. But Alexandria's dealing with their own issues. And they don't even know the old base. They don't know where that camp is. So how do you connect the dots? That's the tricky part. I don't know. So people, if you know how to connect these dots, leave them in the comments. Where do you think?
I think it's important to know whether at the end of the day Leah's going to turn into is going to die because of this, or going to join the group, because they're going to need an army, essentially, because I think the Commonwealth is going to be the biggest fight yet. They had a Woodbury, which was a pretty big one. They had the Sanctuary, like you mentioned. Those were pretty big fights, but those were hundreds of people.
Yeah, there's thousands. In the comic, they said there was 15,000 people. over there. So they haven't shown that. Again, I would have loved some CG just to zoom out and just show all this property here and all these buildings in this community. But there's definitely going to be something. I'm just very curious to see how they all connect. How do you
1 hour, 6 minutes, 34 seconds.
You gotta have something.
Gotta have something.
Gotta have something. Gotta have it. But either way, I think it was all right. I enjoyed it. I liked all the action. A lot of suspense. Especially with the thing with the kids and then the basement, but I don't think they're in any real danger. I mean, come on, it's Judith. That's not a thing. But then again, hey, look at Carl. Carl in the comics is all the way till the end, and nobody saw that coming. And poof, he's gone. I mean, hell, even the actor didn't know he was gonna die. He was like, "What?" So. So anything can happen in The Walking Dead, right? Nobody's safe. Rick is out in the boonies somewhere, and maybe that's it. Maybe that's what happens here. Maybe there's a connection. I don't know. It's gonna be fun. Either way, I enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to their return. So, all right, people, that was it. That was our rundown for season 11, episode 8, For Blood. And that's it. Gotta say it. For Blood. Makes me all right. So that's it. I'm still hyped. We just gotta wait now. And then the fact that there's 2 breaks. So then this is the first. Then we'll have another set of 8, right? And then there's another break. So it's gonna be a long journey, but this is gonna be a good one, and I'm looking forward to it. So thanks again for everybody for supporting us and checking us out on Spotify and iTunes and the Koalition site and on YouTube. Also, remember, we're still covering more Walking Dead because we got World Beyond, and then Fear the Walking Dead is coming back in like a few weeks. Mm-hmm. I can't wait for that. Now say it. Come on, Carlos. This is it. Say it.
Oh, I can wait for that.
No, say it. What do you always say? What do you always say when I talk about anything Walking Dead? You always say, what do they got? What do they got?
The nuke.
The nuke. That's right. And if you guys have fallen off, I'm like, I don't really watch Fear. Start watching it. Start watching, or at least watch the last season's finale. Watch that episode and see the nukes that go off, and see that the world that they just created, and then you should get hyped.
And one final comment to make. If you have a choice between watching World Beyond and Fear the Walking Dead, then you need to just watch Fear the Walking Dead.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the truth is, the only reason, if someone's like, well, why should I even watch World Beyond? It's almost over. There's only 9 more episodes. Just to see how it connects. Because they kept saying that it's going to connect to the other 2 shows. And some characters are going to cross over. I want to know if it's going to be permanent crossovers, or we're going to see certain characters leave and link to the other ones, or it's going to be vice versa. We're going to see some characters. We already know one particular character shows up from Walking Dead proper on this. But that's it. That's the only thing. When it comes to the story, I don't care. Keep going. And
for the people that want to see that, I would tell them, watch the last episode of World Beyond and to get your answers. You don't need to watch the whole season.
Yeah, there you go. That's true. And if you're like, oh, I want to know, then you can just tune in because we're going to be covering it. We're going to be watching it. We're doing it. So then if you don't feel like watching, you can just hear us talk about it and we'll just fill you in and then you can move on with your life. All right, peoples. Thanks again. And we will see you next week. Peace.